Hello everybody and welcome to this video. I'm Inkslaura123 and this is going to be my April wrap up. In this video I'm going to be telling you what books I read in April, what I thought about them, and yeah, I really hope you enjoy the video. If you do, please give it a like, please comment and please subscribe to my channel. Also, if you're a bookworm like myself, please tell me what books you read in the month of April, which were your favourites, which books like you didn't like that much that you read in April. Please comment down below, let me know. I love talking to other bookworms about books. So yeah, okay, right, so I've got my notes here to help me because otherwise I'll literally just forget everything. I've got such a bad memory. So the first book I read in April was called s.t.a.g.s. It's a young adult thriller by M.A. Bennett. So 9 students, one deadly weekend, lots of blood sports, literally. Very weird book. Okay. So there was like these posh kids, they were in like a cult, they're hunting animals and hunting each other. It was just, I don't know, it was just really weird. I also found it quite disturbing at times because they were going into like intimate details of how they would hunt and kill an animal, and they were cutting it up and then they were cooking it, and I was like, ugh, because I'm a vegetarian, so didn't like it at all. Very weird. So yeah, only 1 out of 5 for me. Next book, We Come Apart by Sarah Crossan and Brian Conahan. This book was wrote in a verse style, which I'd never read before, and I actually really like that kind of style of writing, so I'd definitely read more verse books in the future. 2 troubled teens from very different backgrounds come together in the most unexpected of ways, and they have this connection, and I just didn't like it. I'm so sorry. I really didn't enjoy this book at all. I ended up kind of skimming through, just getting to the end, finding out what happened. I just wasn't feeling the characters. And for me, when I'm reading a book, I've got to like the characters. I've got to have some kind of connection to them. Otherwise, I just don't really care what happens to them. Do you know what I mean? So I only gave this book a 1 out of 5. Next up, How to Hang a Witch by Adriana Mather. So this book was a cross between the Salem Witch Trials and Mean Girls. I've read a lot of witchy themed books. I do love my witch books, and look, this wasn't an amazing book, but it was still good. I still enjoyed it. I still like the characters. It was a bit silly at times, but as I say, I enjoyed it. So I've put in my notes here. Witches, bitches, ghosts, romance and friendship. And also I've got number 2 to read in the series, and that's kind of the same characters but with ghosts from the Titanic as well. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Next up is a little quick read I got from the library called A Murder of Crows by Penny Bates. Now, the only reason I got this book from the library, right, is because I saw the cover. I thought it looked super creepy and gothic, and I was like, oh yeah, it looks good. I like my spooky stuff. But you should not judge a book by its cover. We all know that. And I just wish I wouldn't have wasted my time. It was absolutely awful. It was boring. It was depressing. It was weird. So basically it's this little boy, he moves to a different area of his mum, and then these nasty bullies who bully him, and then there's this crow, and there's these other weird crows, and do you know what, I don't even know, it was just bizarre. I didn't like it. So I only gave it a 1 out of 5. But things did get better with my books because I picked up Nevermore from the library, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend, and I freaking loved it. Seriously, I cannot wait for number 2 to come out. Literally, the day it comes out, I'm going to be at Waterstones getting it. It's absolutely brilliant. If you like Harry Potter kind of style books and stuff, check out Nevermore. It's wonderful. So basically, this is little girl who's the sweetest. I just love the main character. And she's this cursed girl, and she escapes death and finds herself in a magical world, and this amazing characters. It's just so fun and magical and cute, and I just absolutely loved it. It made me smile, literally throughout the whole book. I was smiling reading it. It was brilliant. So 5 out of 5, definitely my book of the month as well. Loved it. So after that, I went to House at the End of the Street. So I'd never seen the film. This was by Lily Blake, by the way. Yeah, I'd never seen the film, so I didn't know it was going to happen or anything. So this is kind of horror / thriller. It did make me feel oh my God, what's going to happen? I was ooh, this is exciting. So basically, this lady and her daughter moved to a new area. There's this murder house, and the boy who lives there still, basically his sister, I'm not explaining this very well, am I? His sister, when she was younger, killed their parents, and he's kind of still in the house now. He's grown up, and the girl who moves into the area meets him, and they kind of get this friendship thing going on. Then weird stuff starts to happen, and it's all a bit creepy, and I loved it. It's really good. I definitely want to see the film as well, because I think now I've read the story of the book, you know, I'd love to see the film of it. So yeah, 4 out of 5. Really good thriller, but also like creepy and scary. So yeah, really good. Next up, The Truth About Alice by Jennifer Matthew. She wrote the book Moxie. I loved Moxie. Girl power at its best. Loved it. This was not as good as Moxie, but it still was good. And it's very thought-provoking how basically people's lives can be affected by rumours and gossip, especially if the rumours aren't true. And, you know, it does make you think that when you just have like a bit of innocent gossip, how that gossip can escalate and just really ruin people's lives. Also, I love the story because each chapter was told from a different character's perspective. So you kind of got into the mind of different characters, and you kind of think, oh, do I like this person? Do I not? Do I not? Can I relate to this character? And I really enjoyed it. It was good, but not as good as Moxie. But yeah, I still gave it a 4 out of 5 because I did enjoy it a lot. Next up, I read The Fates Divide, which was the sequel to Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. So I absolutely loved Carve the Mark. I know some people really hated it, but I genuinely thought Carve the Mark was brilliant. So I kind of had like high hopes for The Fates Divide, but it was not as good as Carve the Mark, in my opinion. I still enjoyed it, and it was exciting at times. I love the kind of relationship between s.t.a.g.s and Syra, or Kyra, however you want to say it. And I love that kind of the family and the friendship and the battles, and I did enjoy it. But it just, I don't know, it just didn't have as much excitement for me. There was just something missing. So it kind of tied up a few loose ends from the first book, which was good. But I don't know, not as good. But I still gave it 4 out of 5 because I did enjoy it and it was good. But it was not as good as Carve the Mark. So next up, I read Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This book was wrote in verse. So yeah, I've done pretty good. I've read a few like verse books. I definitely would pick up more in the future of that kind of style because I don't know, it's just a really interesting way of reading. It kind of all flows, and I don't know, I just really enjoy it. But yeah, this book was great. It's really kind of a deep, dark, thought-provoking, hard-hitting story. Kind of reminds me of a kind of retelling of Scrooge in like a modern twist. So basically there's this character called Will, and his brother gets shot dead. A lot of kind of like gang stuff and drugs and stuff going on, and he is like plotting revenge on the person he thinks killed his brother. So he goes to kill him. He gets his gun, or his brother's gun, and he gets in this lift to kind of go up to the floor to get the guy who he thinks killed his brother to shoot him dead. And then while he's in this lift, every time the lift opens, a different ghost from his past gets in, and they kind of like all tell him stuff and try and put him off of murdering him basically, and talking about the past and the future. It's very thought-provoking, as I say, and it is really well told. And I love there were some beautiful illustrations in the book as well, which were just amazing art as well. So overall, really loved it. 5 out of 5. I would say that was probably my second book of the month, but as I say, Nevermore was just, love it. But I did really love that book as well. So the next book is Black Ice by Becca Fitzpatrick, and I read her Hush Hush series years ago and loved it. And basically I picked up 2 standalone books from her from the library. So there was Black Ice and Dangerous Lies, which I'll say about in a minute. But yeah, basically in Black Ice, young adult thriller, character called Brit and her friend go backpacking and hiking. They end up getting caught up in this really awful weather, like this blizzard, and it kind of forces them to seek shelter with these 2 guys who are very, very dodgy, but very, very handsome and sexy. So that, you know, there's like this kind of romance passion thing, but also they seem a bit strange and dodgy. Also add in a kind of ex-boyfriend into the mix, and it was good. It was cool. It did kind of get me excited. I want to know what happened. But yeah, so I gave that like a 3.5 out of 5. The other book by Becca Fitzpatrick was Dangerous Lies, as I say. This was great. I liked it a lot better actually than Black Ice. So basically, there's this character called Stella, and she witnesses a murder, and she has to be sent away under like witness protection. because obviously, you know, they're worried these people are going to try and kill her and stuff. So they send her away, and she has like a false identity and things like that. She's sent away to live out in the country, like in the sticks, with this woman who's like an ex-cop. She's quite tough and strong. So at first they don't kind of get on that well, but as the story progresses, they do, which I like that relationship between them. I thought it was pretty nice. Then she meets this really sexy guy, her neighbour called Chet Faulkner, and they fall for each other, but then her cover is at risk of being found out, like who she really is and what happened. And then the baddies kind of find out where she is. Very good thriller, very romantic and fun and friendly characters. You know, really enjoyed getting to know them, but also enjoyed the aspect of the baddies and the thriller side of it. So yeah, it was good. It was kind of like, you know, really exciting and dark, but fun as well at the same time. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so I gave that a 4 out of 5. Next up was the One Memory of Flora Banks by Emily Barr. Didn't like it at all. I'm so sorry. I know this book is like huge hype everywhere. I literally looked up the reviews and people have just got so much love for this book. So I'm starting to think, what's wrong with me? Why don't I like this book? But I just didn't. It's about a character called Flora, and she's got no short-term memory at all. She had a brain tumor when she was younger, and now she's like having to to remember anything. She has to write notes on her hand or bits of paper anywhere just to kind of help her, to remind her and remember things. It was very kind of emotional, and I did like the main character and stuff, but I found it, I don't know, I just found it very like repetitive, because obviously this girl had to keep sort of going over the same thing to, keep remembering stuff. But as a reader, it was like, oh, stop going on about the same thing again and again and again. Then her parents have to leave her for a bit because her brother gets ill and they go abroad, and they think they've left her with her best friend to look after her. But unbeknownst to them, she at a party kissed the best friend's boyfriend. Now the best friend kind of hates her, so she's left on her own. And I don't know, I just didn't like it. I found it very annoying and boring, and I kind of stopped reading it and just skimmed to the end to find out what happened. So yeah, I only gave it 2 out of 5. Okay, next up. Next up I read the Rebel of the Sands trilogy by Owen Hamilton. Now, I'd wanted to read this trilogy for so long, like seriously, and the fact that I sat down, I was like, right, it's now trilogy time. Because I read a lot of standalones lately, and I really enjoy my series as well, so I wanted to definitely read a series in April, so I'm pleased I did. Rebel of the Sands, you've got Rebel of the Sands, Traitor to the Throne, and Hero at the Fall. And all of them are really good. Literally, they were really, really good. So the main character is called Amani. I absolutely loved her. She was strong, she was sassy. She went through awful things in her life, but she still remained strong and sassy and powerful and tough. And, but she still showed like a feminine, kind of weaker side as well to her, but she was strong and tough. So I loved all the different sides to her. It's set in the desert. There's lots of magic. There's djinns, there's monsters, there's baddies, there's goodies, there's romance. She's like a gunslinger, so there's lots of describing her doing the perfect shot, and there's lots of fighting and just so much going on. It was a really good trilogy actually. So overall, I gave it a 4 out of 5 for like the whole trilogy. In order, I like number 2 the best, then number 1, then number 3. So there you go. Next up, I read Soulmates by Holly Bourne, a love story to end the world, literally. So this is a young adult contemporary romance / kind of sci-fi maybe, I don't know, just a bit strange, a bit silly, a bit weird, but I did really enjoy it. It was really cool. This book was actually chosen for my TBR jar, like my mystery book of the month. Nathan, my fiance, once a month, he picks out a book from my TBR jar. All books that I've got in my house that I've just not read yet, and he just picks it up. So that's the book that he chose, So it's about this character called Poppy, who I loved. I absolutely loved Poppy so much, and she's really cynical when it comes to love and romance, and she doesn't believe in love. She doesn't want to find love. She doesn't think it's real. And what happens? She falls in love. So she falls in love with this like mysterious stranger, and they just literally have this really strong connection from the get-go. And the only problem is that the more they fall in love and get close, things start to happen, like disasters strike throughout, everywhere in the world. But unbeknownst to them, there's this kind of secret international agency who basically want to separate them, because they know that the more they fall in love, the more the soulmates are connected, it will kind of literally ruin the world. bit weird to explain. And even at parts I was reading it thinking, what? Why? I don't know. But and the ending was a bit like, oh. But I did really enjoy it. It was definitely different, and I've got a few other Holly Bourne books to read, so that's pretty cool. That I've got other books from her because she's a really good author. It's really well wrote, actually. Next up, where am I? I'm losing track of all my notes here. There we go. Yes, next up, did I say I'm going to give that out 5? I can't remember now. Oh well. The next book that I read, and the last book of April, was called The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This is a kind of Russian fairy tale themed book. It feels very old school when you read it, like old school fairy tale, but with like a modern twist as well. The main character is amazing. I can't say her name properly, so if I say it wrong, I'm sorry. I think it's Vasilissa. So she's main character. I loved her so much, and basically her mother was a witch. Her mother dies, and she's raised by her dad, and she's got brothers and sisters, and also the dad remarries this not a very nice lady who becomes her stepmother, and these fairy tales that she was always told by her nanny. Well, it was this guy, it's like this nanny stroke nurse who looks after all the kids and stuff and helps raise them, and she'd always like tell them these fairy tales and about this monster and this and that and the goodies, the baddies, and then these kind of fairy tales like start happening in real life. And it's just, I don't know, it's just old school fairy tale. That's all I can say. It's very interesting. It's very mythical and magical. And I really like the beautiful way that it's wrote. It's very enchanting. And as I say, I love the main character. And it's just really cool. There's religion, there's demons, magic, bit of romance. There's talking animals. I mean, you can't go wrong with a book, if you've got talking animals. There's this talking horse that she gets, and he's just so cool. Like, it's just such a sassy horse. I don't know how to describe that, but I just really enjoyed The Bear and the Nightingale. And number 2 is The Girl in the Tower, because it's a series which I've actually got as well to read. So I'll just kind of carry on what happened with the characters. So there we go. Sorry for rambling on. I've tried to keep this video as short as I can, but I do have this tendency to. But there you go. They are the books that I read in the month of April. What I'll do now is ask you to comment and let me know what books, as I say, you read in April. So I do want to know what books you read. Oh yeah, and what books you liked, what books you didn't like. Have you read any of the books that I've mentioned in this video? And if you have, what did you think of them? Because, we all can kind of read a book, and some people will read it and think, oh, that was amazing. And a different person can read the same book and be like, oh, I didn't like it. So we've all got our own opinions and views, But yeah, they are my books that I read in April. Hopefully next month will be a bit better for my reading, because there were a few that were a bit, So I'm hoping that, next month will be definitely more kind of, good books and not books that I'm just not that bothered about. So yeah, there we go. Okay, thanks for watching, everyone. Please click like, please comment, please subscribe. Check me out on social media, all the links down below, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And also, if you're on Goodreads as well, come follow me on there. You can see what books I've read, what books I want to read, that kind of thing. So yeah, links down below. All right, everyone, take care. And if you're a bookworm like me, happy reading. Bye.